What's going on, everyone? BouseFeenux's here, and holy shit has it been a long time since I've made a recorded video. Anyway, because it's the cool thing to do right now, I've put together a list of my favorite games of 2016. But let's be brutally honest here. Do you guys really care about what games I enjoyed this year? I mean, come on. It's not like I'm fucking PewDiePie or something. Anyway, let's proceed with the free mindless clickbait entertainment, and I'll try to drop the nihilism down a notch. Number 1 on our list is a game I really enjoyed this year. This is Origami, a stealth action game developed by Linceworks where you play a vengeful spirit summoned by a young priestess in an effort to help her take back her land from an enemy clan. I really enjoyed this game for its simple, low-poly Legend of Zelda Wind Waker type art style. The combat was a little lackluster, but this is more of a puzzle stealth game, kind of in the same vein as Mark of the Dragon. Now, a lot of people, including myself, were expecting more of a Tenchu type gameplay, but honestly, the more I played Origami, the less that really mattered to me. It has some cool boss fights, nice ambiance, and costs about a third of what a AAA game would cost. Plus, it's a finished product that ran well on PC. I mean, what more could you ask for? Next up, we've got Everspace in the number 2 spot. I played this game a ton when it came out, and it's been one of my favorite ways to pass the evenings as I sit in my computer chair and drink vodka from a plastic bottle. Now, I normally wouldn't include an early access game, but Everspace has enough content to hold its own, with more stuff being released constantly. Simply put, Everspace is an arcade roguelike space exploration game. You take your ship as far into the galaxy as you can, trying to make it to your quote-unquote destination. Along the way, you'll gather resources, weapons, upgrades, and blueprints, but when your ship is destroyed and you die, you'll lose it all, having to start back from the beginning again. But wait! Any currency or blueprints you keep carry over to the next run, and you'll be able to spend that currency to upgrade your ship in the hopes that your next run will go a little smoother. Everspace is a fantastic looking game that controls well and just feels good to play overall. It definitely deserves a solid space on my list. Moving on, we've got a free-to-play game here in the mix. What you're looking at is a game called Duelist. For those of you that know me, you know that I love board and card games, and Duelist delivers the best of both of these worlds in a beautifully drawn and animated fashion. Duelist is essentially a cross between Final Fantasy Tactics Advance or Advanced Wars and Hearthstone. Each player has a general on the board that serves as your life source, and when that general dies, you lose the game. Each turn, you'll play cards that take the form of miniature units on the field that you can then move around into various positions. Players go back and forth attacking and outmaneuvering each other until somebody wins. Pretty simple concept. I really love this game because it isn't as steep to get into as something like Hearthstone or Magic the Gathering, and it's visually gorgeous to look at. As a minor plus, the soundtrack is pretty great too. Oh, and it's got a huge backlog of lore about the world that you're playing in if you're into that sort of thing. Lastly, if you're interested in this game, it's free to play by downloading on Steam. Oh boy, how could we not include Dark Souls 3, the rage-inducing, controller-shattering RPG of the year pretty much every year? I'm not really going to say anything about this that hasn't already been said, so I'll just say that I really enjoyed the third entry into the series. It was definitely an homage to people that were heavily invested in the first Dark Souls, and they brought back a lot of mechanics that we missed between Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 3. The Ashes of Ariandel DLC that came out recently for this was kinda meh, but they've still got one more DLC in the pipeline, so we'll see if that makes up for it. Anyway, if you've been on the fence about trying this game, I still highly recommend it. You'll lose hours of your life doing playthrough after playthrough as you find different weapons to try and the difficulty steadily increases. Dark Souls 3 isn't a perfect game per se, but what game really is? Moving on though, let's take a look at the next game on our list, Rise of the Tomb Raider. Rise of the Tomb Raider is the sequel to the reboot released in 2013 and follows yet another adventure featuring the young Lara Croft on a journey to find an artifact buried deep within the Siberian wilderness. I ended up getting the 20-year anniversary edition of this game when it released for PC, and holy Jesus, man, that thing was packed with content. There was a single-player story game, 2 DLCs that were decent length and added a lot to the main story, some PvE time trial stuff that was a lot of fun to play, a multiplayer aspect, and they brought in these cards that kind of remind me of the 007 GoldenEye cheat codes back in the day. You had big head mode, infinite ammo, and a bunch of other cool stuff. On top of that, they also threw in a multiplayer survival mode that's robust enough to really be its own game. So needless to say, Rise of the Tomb Raider deserves a very solid spot on this list. The story was engaging, the gameplay felt amazing, and there was crafting and character progression. I mean, what more do you want in a game? Oh yeah, you could want Nathan Drake in this game, but he's got his own series called Uncharted, and the 4th installment, Uncharted 4, is the game that makes its way into the number 6 spot on our list. Now, I suck at console shooters, but I have a deep love for the Uncharted series as a whole. Nathan Drake is the best bro you could ever hope to control. I mean, as a whole, this game was just a fantastic sprawling adventure. There were some sections of the game that I found to be extremely frustrating, but they were just challenging and I was a horrible player. As a whole though, the game had amazing visuals, voice acting, and gameplay. The set pieces and environments were absolutely stunning, and the puzzles were brilliantly done and fun to solve. The only real negative to this game was that it was Nathan Drake's final chapter, and that it had to end sometime, but at least it ended well. Anyway, if you play the other games or own a PS4 and haven't played any of the Uncharted series, why do you even own a PS4? What are you doing with your life? Go get these games and play them. Alrighty, moving on though, number 7 on my list had to be Shadow Warrior 2. I was a big fan of the original back in the day, and then the remake released a few years ago, so when this came out, you best believe that I had to jump on it. The second installment in what is hopefully a long line of wing-filled games was pretty much everything I had hoped it would be. It was $20 less than a AAA title and had twice as much content, with all of the future DLC being free to boot. I really enjoyed my time in this game, and it was pretty much everything I hoped it would be. It was gorgeous, it ran well, the gun and melee mechanics were extremely satisfying and fun to play with, and on top of all that, you could go through the whole game with a few other friends. Shadow Warrior 2 was an extremely solid title and definitely deserves its number 7 spot on our list. Moving on down the line, let's take a look at Doom 2016, which, fun fact, is the game of the year right now according to many game publications, and rightfully so. It's rare these days to find a game that has a solid, immersive single-player first-person shooter experience, and Doom 2016 delivers this in spades. It ran well on PC and looked gorgeous thanks to the new Vulkan technology that I sincerely hope more games adopt in the future. Doom 2016 ended on a pretty big cliffhanger, so here's to hoping we'll see more of the story arc here in the future. Alright, so lightning can strike twice, right? You know how I was just saying that it's rare to find a complete single-player experience nowadays? Well, the folks over at Respawn Entertainment proved it can be done as well. The 9th game on this list, a game that I've absolutely been in love with since its release, is Titanfall 2. Both the single player and multiplayer in this game have been phenomenal and have caused me to keep picking this game up time and time again. Titanfall 2 is my go-to multiplayer shooter when I want to kill time or just when I want to feel like a badass. The story and gameplay of the single-player campaign were pretty amazing as well. I just wish they would have marketed the game better. I honestly feel like Titanfall 2 could have been this year's game of the year in earnest. I mean, it's really got everything everyone wants, but no one wants to play it for some reason. It's really weird. Anyway, I love it, and I know those of you that play it love it too, so it's no surprise that it almost made it to the top of my list. And speaking of top of the list, we're now at our final entry. This is The Witcher 3 Blood and Wine, the final DLC for the Witcher series, and the final chapter for the famed monster hunter Geralt of Rivia. I've spent countless hours in The Witcher's world across 3 games, all of which I've played through multiple times. I've read the books, I've played the card game. I love this series. There isn't a game in the world on the planet I felt more at home in than this one, and it's no wonder it made the top of the list. But that's gonna do it for me today, guys. If you enjoyed this video, you know what to do. If not, well, you also know what to do. But before leaving though, drop a comment down below telling me what your favorite games of 2016 are. Until next time though, I'm BouseFeenux. I'll see you at the next video, and as always, thank you so much for watching.